It's Liz, and it's time for our November book club. Tonight we have visiting with us Holly Mortimer, and I hope you've been enjoying her book Worlds Apart. We'll be talking to her in just a few minutes. Um, just a couple of things before we get started. When you comment tonight, which I hope you're going to be doing a whole lot of comments and questions, if you'll just please put your name in the comment so that I know who it's from. That's one thing that I can't see in this program is who comments. So all I see is what you comment. So if you'll just put your name inside the comment, then I'll know who said it. A couple of things to remind you of. First of all, we're going to do our numbers, our number draw. So get some more people on joining us before we do the number draw. I will go ahead and tell you that for currently, I do have a box set. It's the title of the book set is The Billionaire's Kiss, and it is a box set of the first two books in the Kissed series, Snow Kissed by the Billionaire and Chased by the Billionaire. And currently it is free everywhere. So if you've not read that, this would be a great time to pick it up. There are 2 additional books in the series, Sun Kissed by the Billionaire and French Kissed by the Billionaire. So those would be really good Thanksgiving books to read. Also, I have the first 2 books to the Billionaire series, Billionaires of White Oaks, the renovated edition. Don't y'all like how I did that? Heartbreaker and Troublemaker are my first 2 books with Glenfinnan Publishing, and they are currently available. The 3rd book in the series, Mastermind, will be out December the 20th, followed by Hothead in January. So, and like I've told you, those books have been renovated and spruced up and given a new look, and I hope that you enjoy them. And you can grab those first 2 books now. And let's see what else we have going on. Oh, if you are not a member of my newsletter community, this would be an excellent time to subscribe to my newsletter, because coming up, I'm going to have a special holiday treat for you. It's going to be in one of my newsletters coming up pretty soon. To give you a little hint, I did ask in my group for which couple you would like to see a holiday short story from. And it possibly could be one of those couples that you suggested that you will get to revisit in my newsletter. So make sure that you have subscribed to it. If you are not subscribed to it, you can just hop over to my website, lizscottbooks.com, and subscribe. Okay, let's do our number draw. Let me just take a quick little peek and make sure everything is a-okay on that you're actually seeing what's going on. So if you want to just comment and let me know that you see me, we'll go ahead and get started. We always start our book club meeting with me writing down a number between 1 and 50. So comment with a name, with your name and a number between 1 and 50. If you don't comment with your name, I'm not going to know who says the number. And I'm writing a number down on my notepad. And at the end of the evening, whoever's closest to that number will win a signed copy of one of my books. So I see Marisol has thank you, Marisol. There's 2 other people in here, but I don't know who you are. So just remember to put your name so that I know who you are. So let me go ahead and let's get started with our book club meeting. Let me bring our visiting author up, Miss Holly Mortimer. Hi, Holly. Oh, hang on. Would you like to be heard? Okay. We can hear you now.
Okay, hey.
Tell everybody where you're at tonight.
So, yeah, you are watching me live and in person from my local ice rink, my local arena. Um, it was about the only time I could find, only place I could find to sit and do this. I know that you asked me in the summer, late summer, Liz, and I thought I would be free tonight, but turns out this is where I am. So this is where I am. And
hey, life happens.
It sure does. Yeah.
I'm so happy that you could be here with us.
Me too.
Even if you're at an ice.
Yeah,
I think that's exciting.
It is. It's fun. It's where I spend a lot of my time. I have my hat on because it's cold. I'm in this corner. I mean, I can show you. I can turn my camera around, and I can show you a bit about. There's my daughter there who's doing some homework. But yeah, there's tiny boys at the end warming up for a game. There's all sorts of stuff happening here, and now there's an author interview.
Yay! Well, we had a lot of response from your book this month. A lot of people have evidently really enjoyed your book. Thank you so much for making it free to our to my readers.
Yeah, no,
I appreciate it. I know they appreciate it. So, give us some background into how you became an author. What was your journey?
Sure. When I was, I guess, 17, I entered a writing contest at the request of an ancient Egyptian history teacher. And we were writing on kind of the life and times of Cleopatra. And I chose to write it as if it was a modern day soap opera. And ended up not really winning any sort of great awards. But my teacher said to me, if you ever have an interest in writing for soap operas, I think you have a really good talent for dramatic, romantic read. You're turning anything into a romantic read. And I was kind of hooked. And so I dabbled in creative writing and all through college and university. And then I got a job in the music industry, which is where my education is from. I went to college for music business, and I was on the road a lot and watching all of these. The things that you think happen are the things that happen. So I started to write them all down in a journal, and started just building these stories. And I was on the road so much that I had a lot of spare time, and I developed a whole bunch of stories there, but never really did anything with them. And then when I started having children, I decided to leave the road, and then I just started writing. And indie publishing was a great, easy option. I love the entrepreneurial journey, and so I just published my first book. Geez, I think it was 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, and I haven't looked back.
Wow. So, but it's not your full-time job, though, is it?
No. So what I specialized in when I was in the music industry was promotions. I was in the promotions department and a division called Artist and Repertoire and promotions. And so well, I have for the last 25 years taught entertainers how to bring their product to market, whether that's in a corporate situation or privately and independently, which is mainly what I do. But I've also worked for the government here in Canada, showing, I call them regular entrepreneurs, doing the same kinds of things. So I specialize in digital marketing strategies for artists, but more specifically, I decided last year to start, or maybe a year and a half ago, to start digital marketing strategies for romance authors exclusively. So I write part-time and I do that full-time.
And who was one of your first
You were.
interested people?
You were. Thank you so much. One of my OG members, right? So yeah, I actually I enjoy that just as much as I enjoy writing, and I love writing, but I really love serving and teaching and talking about marketing to the point where I just needed to make sure it was something that I did for a job so that I would never be so stressed out I didn't want to do it. So these are two kind of the best of both worlds.
And that, like Holly said, that is how I met her, was running across her actually on Facebook one day. And one of my readers know that I struggle with the marketing part of
You're not alone.
this whole thing. If I could just write, I would be so happy. But Holly is actually the one that has led me kicking and screaming to doing these lives.
Yes, you're my star student. Can you believe it? You're the one that uses BeLive and does this very scheduled, delicious live program. I love it. I love it so much.
She kept telling me, "You've got to go live. You've got to go live." And no. Well, what can I do that I can go live and not show my face? I did everything I could, and she just kept saying, "No, you have to go live." So I'm live.
Yeah,
it's all your fault.
Yeah, and look how much fun you're having. I love this. I love it.
But what's so great for me about Holly's marketing program is that she is a romance writer. So what she brings to me is through that lens of the romance writer. That's what I've appreciated so much. So anyhow, back to what we were talking about. You.
I could talk about either one all day. Not me. I mean, either job I
have. Okay, so you've been writing romance. This is from Pat. This is a question from Pat.
Right.
And she says, how long have you been writing romance novels? So I guess.
Yeah, so
your first?
Yeah, my first book I published on Valentine's Day, which, I mean, as your first book in the romance world, I thought I was so cool. Oh, I'm gonna pick Valentine's Day. Oh gosh, but yeah, so Valentine's Day, 2014, so 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That I started in April of 2014. So I published my first book.
Yeah.
Wow. Twinsies.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about your writing process. Are you a planner or are you a pantser?
So I'm a pantser all the way. I've tried to be a planner, but now I have a writing coach who makes sure that I'm always I'm moving forward in the way that works best for me. So I'm no longer trying to stuff a pantser into a planner's thought process. I love starting at the beginning of a story with the idea and the characters, and usually the location is what inspires me the most. And then I just let it go, just write until I get to the end. I actually hate writing endings, but I'm really bad at them. But I do love writing beginnings. They're my favorite spot.
A lot of authors don't like beginning, but I do too because it's like you meet the characters. They take shape. Okay, Rebecca says, oh, that question was from Monica, by the way. So Rebecca says, how long does it take you from start to finish to write a book?
Depends on the book. So the first 3 books, each one took about 3 months. And keep in mind, I write part-time. The last book took me a year. So I had a lot of other stuff going on. But typically, if I'm sitting down really focused in the manner that I like to be, I will do first draft will probably take 6 to 8 weeks, and the second draft I can knock out. Third draft pretty quickly. I love revision. It's my favorite thing. I once revised.
Revisions hurt.
Revisions are my favorite thing, and I love that a great editor can kind of really focus you in on that, and I can nail a revision down in a week usually. So yeah, I mean the average takes about 3 months, and then I like to say the book might be written, but the work isn't over, right? So from beginning to end to me would be week after release date. I usually do that in a 6-month block for me.
How many books do you have to date? How many series?
So I have 9, but you cannot find all 9. You can find a couple on the black market. I don't know, those like strange copies that emerge on Amazon here and there. I have 2 that are. I have a duet, so those are the 2 that are harder to find. And then in this series that which you read at the beginning, the Murphy series, I have 6, and then I have a 9th, which is sitting in like a draft, so it hasn't been published. So I kind of finished 9, but published 8, and you can buy 7.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to say a series name. Can you tell us just a little bit about each one?
Sure.
So your Worlds Apart. Was that your first series?
So Worlds Apart is a funny book. It was the end of a series I wrote called the Sister Series, but to me it sparked a bigger story about the hero. So it used to be about the heroine, and she was the completion of a series. But once I wrote it, I thought I want to know more about the hero and his siblings. And so I pulled it. It's like a bridge book. It can be the finale to the Sister series or the beginning to the Murphy series, but I market it almost exclusively as the beginning to book 1 in the Murphy series, as it makes much better business sense to do it that way. So yeah, it's technically it has its foot in 2 different series, but really it's the beginning of my Murphy series, which is kind of my most complete, most robust series I have.
And then the second book is Expectation.
Yeah, kind of. So yes, I'm giving you all these weird answers. Expectation is book 2, and then there's this little novella that fits in between. So it's A Vow, and it's book 1.5.
And then Pact and Freedom are the other books.
Yep, and then Undone is the final book in that series.
Mary wants to know what is the most difficult aspect of writing?
For me, it's finishing the story. I hate writing the ending, and I don't know. Right now, I'm working with my writing coach on whether that's a mental block or whether it's just I don't have the right frame of mind. Somebody had told me once to write the end and then back up, which I'm intrigued by. Do you do that, Elizabeth?
I have done that before. It depends on how the book comes to me. Sometimes I know the ending of the book before I know the beginning, and I'll go ahead and write that ending. Or it might be just a scene in the middle that comes to me and I'll write that scene, and then the whole book goes around that scene. So just whatever.
Oh, you're unfrozen.
Am I?
I don't know if it's on my end or yours, but you were typing for a while there.
Okay. Mary also wants to know, what do you think makes a good story?
Pardon, can you repeat that? What makes a good story? Is that what you said?
Huh?
Oh, well, I mean, you can. So I want to say I know that there is a technical angle to that. I once went to a story building craft workshop where it was incredibly technical. This goes here, this goes here. The formula of what makes a good story is where are the arcs happening, where's the conflict, where's all that kind of going in. But I really think a great story is something that can transport the reader. And in the romance world, more like for me, it's where actually no, I think any story is really good where you can transport the reader, and deliver kind of um, an experience that is both transformative and full of drama and intrigue, all of the elements that kind of are exciting. And at the same time, there is this underlying element to this. This could be me. I could be the hero or the heroine or what have you. So there's a connection there, and all storytelling is basically is about connection, and I really think that great stories have the ability to um, move the reader into the book, right? So, and as if they are experiencing it with the hero or the heroine, depending on or even the secondary cast of characters, depending on where the gaze is coming from, in that. But if you think about all the great stories that you read, they usually have an element of fantasy, or this is kind of out there, but at the same time, there's a thread that pulls you in with a commonality, or a sense of being inside the book, and that it really could happen to anybody.
Um, Marisol says, do you think maybe you don't like endings because you may not be ready to say goodbye to your characters?
It could be. It could be. Definitely think that. I also, I also think that I also know technically, based on my work with this really great coach that I have, I've mentioned 3 times now, where I know her whole angle is that if you know your personality type, you can become a better writer through understanding how your brain works and not fighting against it, thinking I should be doing this or I should be this. And what I've learned through this very deep psychological testing that I've been going through is that um, my biggest piece to the part of my brain that pushes me forward as far as my career goes is that I am a driven type of person, but I like to check things off, but not necessarily do them to the best of my ability. I get more pleasure from a big list that gets done as opposed to a small list that gets perfected. So what I think happens to me when I write is I'm a pantser too, and I love the magic and the excitement of writing the story and going through it. But by the time I get to the end, my brain has already moved on to what's the next book. Where do we go from here? Does this have another book coming in the series? Half of it's part of my marketing brain that I can never shut off, and so I have to force myself to sit there and think, what is the ending that these characters deserve? And stop, Holly. Stop thinking about what else is next. It's like
It's hard to turn it off sometimes.
yeah. I find it's really hard. That's one of the things I'm working on with my coach is how to sit in the ending and let it percolate instead of just I want to get it done and move on to what's next. I struggle with that a lot, as a lot
But
of writers do. Too many stories in your head.
Right.
Too many, yeah.
Let's see. Someone says, we're so glad you convinced Liz to go live.
Me too.
And Marisol said, thank you, Holly, for encouraging her to go live.
Oh, look at
Oh.
that.
Okay. Do you have any writing quirks?
What an interesting question. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know if there, I guess it depends on what your definition of quirk is. I can only write, or I write best in loud, noisy places with loud music in the headphone. If you put me in my office, where I have a lovely office and big windows and um, nice comfy chair, big desk, I can't write anything. I have to leave my house, go find the noisiest place in town, so a coffee shop. Believe it or not, library is pretty noisy. This arena, I do a ton of writing here, and uh,
We're the exact opposite.
oh yeah, yeah. I think there's kind of two people: one that needs complete quiet, or one that needs complete chaos. And let me tell you that writing a sex scene in an arena where there are
Oh my
tiny
gosh.
humans running all over the place is always a challenge, and it's even more of a challenge when I'm working my other job. So I do not just teaching, but I also do a lot of copywriting for writers, and some of them I have they get pretty raunchy, and there is a lot of visuals that I'm working off of for them. Yeah, my daughter, she's going to her practice. And so working in loud, crowded, noisy places where there are a lot of people gets me a lot of, oh, oh my, or people try to read over your shoulder. So I don't know if that's a quirk, but that's a place. If I have to be at home, which I am obviously a lot, I never sit at my desk. I write on the couch or yeah, anywhere but the one spot that I paid a lot of money to be able to write at.
I have to be at my desk and it has to be quiet.
Hmm.
Well, let's see. What parts do you enjoy writing the most? This is from Marisol.
Well, we've uncovered that I don't like writing the end. So my favorite thing to write in a book is the opening line.
The opening.
Yeah, I love it. Um, I don't know. There's something about the first line of a book that sets the tone for the whole book, um, and it does the work of an entire book in one sentence. And I have lots of good conversations with authors about what makes a great opening line or what makes a great opening paragraph. Um, but yeah, it's my favorite thing to write.
And Marisol also asks, do you write drafts or outline of your whole story, or do you, well, we really already talked about that.
Yep, no drafts. Just dive in.
Of all the books you've written, which one is your favorite?
Expectation. That's my easiest one to say. So I don't know if any of you have picked it up or not, but expectation is technically the second book in this series that Worlds Apart starts, but I consider it the third. Like the novella is a pretty juicy novella. So I think it's well over 30,000, but just over 30,000, maybe 40,000 words. Can't recall. But expectation is a book that I wrote that is there's the most of me inside of the heroine. Also, um, I think it's the book that I've written that I've done the best job of writing, and the storyline is incredibly personal to me. So it is almost a retelling of my story, and yeah, so it was the easiest to pour out of me because it was so much a piece of who I am. It is my favorite. And if you went to Amazon or iBooks and looked at them, you would know that it is most people's favorite because it has a lot of reviews and everything else says. I don't know if they, I don't know what that says. It just, I don't know. Actually, it depends on where you're looking. Amazon, that is true. Apple, it's not that. That's not true. But it, I get the most feedback. I get the most incredible notes. So, Expectation is a story about. Um, I had a son who passed away as an infant, as a brand new baby, and it it's not that because it's a very happily ever after story, but it is about the sickness that I had when I was pregnant with that my son, and the heroine goes through the very same ups and downs and ins and outs, but in the end, when the baby does come, the baby is happy and healthy, and which is but the only difference in the story. Um, so yeah, it touches a lot of people. I do have a trigger warning at the beginning. There is nothing terrible that happens, but that I go pretty deep into the feelings and emotions of potentially carrying a child that could be very sick, which is kind of what the story is all about.
I think it's, for me, um, writing is very therapeutic a lot of times for me
Yeah,
and what's going on in my life. And that's
yeah,
one of the reasons I started putting in my behind the book stuff at the back of all my books.
yeah. I
And
would
I
agree
could
with
tell
that.
you what's going on behind the book as I was writing it.
That's a great
Uh,
idea. So
yeah.
the series that I'm working on right now is very much a completely different stage in my life and very much that. And I feel like, you know how when you're writing, Liz, you feel like, okay, this book is going to do something. This book is really a good reflection of the best of my talents. You know, it's a good book, and you don't ever want to say that, but because you can tap into that unknown piece that's inside of you and just write from the heart, as opposed to writing like writing to market. You know, what's on trend. Which is also a whole other business strategy. But for me, I really like to write what I know about because I think I could do a better job with that. So yeah, right now I'm chronicling a lot of that stuff.
Another question, how do you pick your covers?
I don't. I have somebody that does that for me, which so I used to. and, uh, yeah, I have a long cover story, but I won't get into it. But I used to. I paid somebody when I did my first book a lot of money to do a cover for me, and like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And it was a terrible cover. I got it back, and I was like, but new baby writer, right? I was like, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be, right? And so then my sister-in-law, who's a graphic designer, said, "Oh, I got to tell you that cover's terrible." I'm like, "I know, I paid so much money for it. I don't know what to do." So she did a few covers for me, but then I said I wasn't going to tell you the cover story, but now I'm telling you. I was on
I want
vacation.
to know.
I was on vacation in Michigan. So I live in Ontario. Michigan is not that far away. It's like 45 minutes hour, northern Michigan. And I was with um, the kids were at a water park resort, and went out to dinner. And this woman came up to me and said, "Are you Holly Mortimer?" And I said, and she goes, "Well, I know somebody who knows you, and I thought that was you because I picked up one of your books and I read it and I loved it, and I just wanted to come over and tell you that. And also, I'm a graphic designer, and I really would like to redo your book covers because they're terrible." Oh, okay. And I'd also like to build you a website. So I'm like, man, oh man, it's my lucky day. So she took over, she redesigned all of my covers with the exception of one of them. I don't know if you know Zoe York, Elizabeth.
I love Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe's a good friend of mine. she also had the same idea. She took one day she just emailed me a cover. She said, "That cover is terrible. Put this cover on it." So I don't pick my covers. Everybody knows that I'm terrible. I don't do graphic design. But the covers I have for the Murphy series were all designed by my friend Cheryl, who owns a graphic design company slash web design company. She does all of that, and she gets it right almost every time. I never have to make changes because she's really good at her job. So that was my long story about how I pick my covers. I don't because I can't be trusted with that job.
Yep. It's hard to do.
It is. I like to let somebody else do it, and then if
It's
they
hard.
stink, you can blame them. But I can only have myself to blame for those first ones.
My very first cover I did myself with Microsoft Word.
Oh yeah.
We won't go there.
No, I mean I've been there. We don't
I
have to
don't think
do
I don't think anyone would ever remember that cover. Um, but let's see. What is your favorite type of story to write? And I think she's talking about trade, like secret
Oh
agent
yeah,
or
yeah. I hands down, my answer is always the same: alpha male, single dad, enemies to lovers. It's like a three layered thing. You'll notice that trend in almost all of my books. I'm trying not to write. Well, actually, the next series has nothing to do with that um, yet. I'm sure it'll weave its way in there. I love a good enemies to lovers story, but I also love a good single dad
well,
story.
certain Worlds Apart certainly started that way.
Yeah, worlds apart. Expectation is not. Hacked is not freedom. Undone is, so the final book is another single dad um, story. So I got those in there. But yeah, I do love an enemies to lovers story too.
Um, let's see. Who are some of your favorite authors to read?
Okay, yeah. I already talked about Zoe. Um,
This question is from Melissa. I'm sorry, I've not been telling you who the questions are.
Thanks, Melissa. So my favorite authors, when I my very first um, the very first series I read um, was Karen Marie Moning's Fever series. Oh man, I love that. So that was paranormal. Um, I love Jericho Barons. I don't know if you're into Fever or not, but she's one of my favorites. I really love some of the classics like Loretta Chase, Lord of Scoundrels. I love that. Love that book. I love historicals. Sarah MacLean, one of my favorite historical writers. Um, let's see, who else I love? Oh, these are always hard questions because you're like, oh, who is in my favorites? It shuffles. Oh, Julie Garwood, I love her. Like a lot of the classic. I used to be obsessed with historicals. I tried to write a historical, if you want to count that as my 9.5 book. Um, it was terrible because I am that pantser. I don't think you could be a pantser and write a historical. You really got to know your stuff and have it all like lined up. Um, but yeah, I love Dorinda Jones. I don't know if you know Dorinda, but she has the Charlie Davidson series, which is like 13 books. And I met her, and she was a writing partner of mine, totally by luck. And I learned a lot from her. And then right now I'm reading, is it Robin Carr? Robin Carr?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Virgin River series
Uh-huh.
coming out on Netflix next week. And somebody recommended it to me, and I'm in love with it. And I'll just I have a friend, Michelle, who I met through Zoe York, who just got two of her books optioned for Netflix. So when I was hanging out with Michelle, we were talking about books that we writers or books that we know that have been optioned as series at Netflix, and this came up in discussion, and I grabbed it, and I'm in love with it. That's what I'm reading right now.
No, it's my dream to have one of my books turned into Hallmark movie.
Oh, you've got to meet
Just
me.
putting that out there in the atmosphere.
Yeah, no. From, she has a course coming out called Book to Screen. Book to Screen, yeah. But really, it really wasn't that hard. It was just knowing that that's what you wanted and kind of here's step one, step two. Here's how to adapt it. Here's who to talk to. Also, I don't know many authors that don't think that that would be the coolest thing to see their books come alive. Yeah.
Carly Phillips just has one.
Oh yeah.
Dare, can't remember which Dare book it is. It's coming out soon, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one. Okay, we got off track again.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. How do you decide on locations and character names? And that's from Melissa.
Okay. So I always try to categorize myself as something, so I can say, oh, I write. I won't just say I just write romance. So a big chunk of my work life that I left out was when I was on the road. I jumped from record company to tour operator. And I had a record company in Milltown and ran away. I thought, what would I love to do? I'd love to travel the world, but how am I going to do that? So I went to work as the national marketing and sales manager for an international tour operator out of Europe. And that's when I spent most of my days traveling around the world and decided that every time I was in a new favorite location, I would use that as inspiration for a book. But what happened was I ended up going back to Ireland over and over and over again. And then I went there on vacation, and then I'm like, I can't get it out of my head. Um, so when I choose a location, I like most of my books to be in some sort of resort, vacation, not resort, but something that to a North American would seem kind of vacationy. And I want to have been there so that I can really dive into all that makes the romance come alive of that venue. So my next series that I'm writing is about like a ski village in northern British Columbia in Whistler, which is here in Canada, and then I would like to do um, um, a series in Europe. So I'm right now watching this couple on YouTube called Kate and Nate. Kate and Nate.
Yes.
Yeah, you know who that is, right?
Yes.
Don't you love that? It's inspired me to like, oh my God, look at these tiny little romantic, out in the middle of nowhere places where they're staying. And I've just been writing down notes like crazy every time I write it. I thought, what a cool kind of piece to weave into a story about people that like to travel, which is kind of what I live for. Yeah. So that was a long answer, but I have to have been there. Um, I kind of like to see it as something that's very destination-y or vacation-y about it. And I also don't always love it to be in the United States because my business side of my brain is like there's a lot of people doing small town or North American or U.S. based cities. I want it to be somewhere that is um, exotic and different and not altogether too far out there, but right here. And I think Ireland is kind of like a really cool spot. Scotland is another one I'd like. I spend a lot of time in Edinburgh. I'd like to write about that and maybe get some castles into the mix. I don't know.
I admire you traveling. I'm, as my readers know, I'm sort of afraid of traveling, so I don't go anywhere. That's why I write Small Town America, because that's where I'm from.
Yeah, I mean, you do it well because you know it, right?
Well, I know it. I've lived it.
I love to travel, and that's what I know. So, I mean, everybody's got their thing they do well, and I can't. Even though grew up in a small town, that's not where my brain kind of lives. It's always on the road somewhere.
Now I'm going to ask you some questions about your book.
Okay.
The first one is from Susan Jane, and she just comments that she loves when a guy chases a girl, and she loves when they don't fall in love instantly. And how did you come up with the idea of Worlds Apart?
Mm. Worlds Apart is based on, takes place in Brandon Bay, and it is an actual retelling in my brain of a pub I went and spent probably 4 days at. It's kind of on the edge of the earth. If you've been to Ireland, it's on the Dingle Peninsula, and Brandon Bay is this little kind of, I don't know what they call it, like, I know there's a word for it, but it kind of juts out into the ocean on the sandbar type of thing. And there is a pub there called Spillane's, and I stayed in the little bed and breakfast up the road from Spillane's, and I have a friend whose name is Spillane. Anyway, we just like had a great time there, and it inspired me to be the I loved it so much that it was the central location. It became the central location in that series, which I was just starting the first time I was in Ireland, or the first time I was vacationing, not working in Ireland. Um, yeah, so that's what inspired Worlds Apart. I love the idea of like the heroine is maybe an actress, but she's actually a businesswoman. She's in production. These are things that when I was working in the music industry, me as a female were very few and far between. I love the story of entrepreneurship is always a huge theme in my life and in the books. So she was a strong entrepreneurial um, woman who was stuck in Ireland, and I think I don't know. I'm a girl who goes for big burly guy with bit of a beard, bit of a dangerous piece to him, but underneath is a total softy. No, I didn't run into that exact guy in Spillane's, which is unfortunate, um, but yeah, it's based on a real place, which um, maybe I'll start to retell that story. It's been a while since I wrote Worlds Apart, but um, it's a question that or a piece of my marketing that when I share pictures of my times in Ireland, and if you keep reading on all of the locations that these books take place in, are places where I was immersed. Like I did a farm stay, or I walked into this pub in the middle of nowhere. Those are all in the books. So I have personal pictures of all of these places that I've been that you can match up to the book that they belong to.
Pat wants to know why you chose to make Samantha an actress.
Um, so remember when I said that book was more started out as the conclusion of a different series of books, and she had always um, so in that series called the Sister Series, there were three girls who are best friends, just like sisters. But coming from the entertainment industry as I do, this is as close as I can get to writing about the people that I know. So, or people I work for. And those three girls were all in the entertainment industry, and one was kind of a behind the scenes writer. One was a visual artist, and Samantha was the actress. So they all kind of um, mirrored people that I have encountered in my life. And she just kind of stayed an actress when I rewrote that book as the beginning to a series. And I like the fact that she is um, everything that Brennan hates or thinks he hates. Stuck up, beautiful women who he assumes are all of the things he assumes Hollywood people are, which and she is not. But I thought it would be a nice, complete opposite kind of enemies piece to go along with the enemies to lovers story.
Um, let's see. How did Brennan know for a fact that Claire was his daughter?
Mm. That is something that doesn't happen on the paper, so he doesn't even know. He didn't even know that he had. He At the beginning of Claire's life, um, he's not in the picture, right? So he has an affair with a woman who is not fit to be.
Oops, Holly froze.
His mother is a big piece of the story. Brennan's mother. So she lives, or no, she was alive when that baby was there. No, she is no longer alive in the story. But yeah, as an off screen, or however you want to call it, behind the door or whatever, when he gets the baby from this woman who he does not trust, who he is unprepared, woefully unprepared for the surprise of his life. Um, he immediately, due to the nature of him being a sibling of a large Irish family, doesn't care, takes her in, messes up over and over again, but off camera does doesn't they don't he doesn't do a paternity test, but he does push her to the point where he fully trusts the answer she gives him is that yes, this is it. You are the only one, kind of thing. So there's no 100% piece of proof, but for all intents and purposes, she is his.
Um, what happens to Claire's mom at the end? How does that affect their relationship?
So she comes in and out of the story in a very peripheral way, trying to get back in and ultimately messing up, as he predicted she would. And as we don't, inside the story, we don't dive too deeply into all the problems that she has. And I toyed with giving her her own book, and that's not to say that isn't ever not going to happen. Um, so I can't tell you because I don't think her story is over.
Wow, we have an insider tip, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody, let's give her a thumbs up for that.
She's always been somebody who, when I started writing her, I did not like her. And then as she came back in and out of their lives, I thought, there's got to be a way to write about her, but also to talk about a family that looks a lot different than a traditional family, and that there are women like her out there that exist, and how can I continue her story? So yeah, she has not finished, and it may or may not be something that's coming next fall for the Christmas season.
We didn't hear that. Have a little tip, everyone.
There you go.
Marisol also asked, who was your inspiration for Sam and for Brennan?
Oh, so Brennan is a funny one that a lot of people don't always know, and I'm going to probably mess up his name, but there is a model slash photographer. His name is Frangie. What the heck's his last name? I'm having a. I turned 48 this week, and I think I lost all my brain. His name is Frangie. If you look it up, you'll find him. He's dark hair.
Frangi.
Frangggy. He is Brazilian. He um, was a romance cover model, and but turned photographer. He has a really interesting Instagram um, page, and I found something. He is so like, I don't know him. Let me just put that out there, but I feel like I know him. Um, he presents as a like a Jason Momoa, who is also kind of 50%, not 50%, 25% in there. Brennan does not have long hair or that kind of wild nature. He's a very restrained guy, but inside of him is a motorcycle jacket, dark, tall, bit of a beard. But Frangie is more accurately to the first look at who I wanted Brennan to be. He's kind of a rough on the outside, but if I followed him on social media for the last 3 or 4 years, and
Is it Franggi?
why on the end? And
Fraggy.
let me find his last name.
Okay, I got him.
I think it's
I
Yemen.
got him.
Yeah.
I'll show
See?
everybody.
Yeah.
Let me find a good one to show everybody.
So this is exactly what I pictured he would look like. Um, and
That,
then,
yeah, he would be very nice. I do agree. And what about Samantha now?
so Samantha she was harder to kind of pin down as far as who inspired me. Um, to her, like I kind of, everybody has their, not everybody, oh yeah, there he is. That's, that's pretty much what he looked like. But I'm a huge fan of Scarlett Johansson with long blonde hair, and that's visually and kind of internally who I thought. She's a strong actress, good looking, tiny, blonde. But mostly what I looked for in Samantha was this feisty, I know what I like and you're not it kind of a character, but also somebody who you could picture yourself, having a drink with and getting into a lot of trouble. So those are
Sorry, I had to switch us.
Oh, yeah, this is exciting. Yeah, all good.
I have to get used to it. So, if this book was turned into a movie, who do you see playing the main characters? Do we know?
Oh man, that's hard. So I'm always going to say Henry Cavill for every movie star who's going to be in all of my books. I don't know.
I wouldn't hate that.
No, me neither. But I don't know if he's exactly right. So I would say him or I don't know, somebody who's kind of got that edge, Jason Momoa, probably. And then for the
My
third,
readers know how I love Jason Momoa.
me too, me too. And then yeah, I would say Scarlett Johansson. I really kind of like her for that too.
Marisol says definitely Hot Guy Friday.
Yeah, see, Frenchie's okay. You just start following on Instagram, and when he shows up with a shirt on, you'll die. So, in my Pinterest board, I believe I have a bunch of pictures of him in in leather or in a tight white tailored dress shirt, and that I really like that look on him too. So.
Did you take an unexpected? Did the book take any unexpected turns for you? Like you didn't see your character doing something? That is from Marisol.
Well, yeah, I mean, I really thought that Brennan's the mother of Claire, so they weren't really dating, so I can't call her an ex-girlfriend. I thought she would play a bigger role in it, but she did not. And I didn't know when I was writing it that it would be the beginning of 6 more books. So that's a huge unexpected turn. So I don't know if I can get bigger than that. But when I was done writing it, I was like, this is the beginning. You can't have 5 siblings and not keep writing about it. 5 transplanted um, North Americans living in Ireland and not continue that story. So that would be the biggest unexpected turn. And then when I did think I was going to write more, it was only going to be 3 more. And then I was going to try to figure out how to smush all of the siblings into some, because I'm like, I don't have enough stories in me. But then turns out it moved into six, and now there will be a seventh. Yeah.
Linda wants to know, she says that her and her husband would love to go to Ireland. And did you spend any time there writing?
Yep.
And
Um,
can you give her any tips for traveling in Ireland, like places to see or places to eat or things to do?
so there are the very traditional things to do in Dublin, but my piece of advice is to spend just a couple nights in Dublin and um, and then leave Ireland. Favorite um, my favorite thing to do in Ireland. Now I'm a well seasoned traveler. I'll hop in a car and drive on the wrong side of the road and figure it out. A lot of people won't, but it's to your advantage if you can do that because those big tour buses or there's so much more outside of Ireland than Dublin. The wild place called the Wild Atlantic Way. You can travel from the top of Ireland to the very southern tip. In the Northern Ireland areas, if you love Game of Thrones, um, you could see a whole bunch of things that will remind you of Game of Thrones. I'm a huge fan of the Cliffs of Moher, which are in County Clare, but I just got in the car and drove. I feel now I was never, sorry, when I was vacationing, I was never alone. When I was working, I was alone. I never felt unsafe there. I love touring. Like there's the Guinness factory. Like if you like Jason Momoa, you know that Jason Momoa loves Guinness. You can do the Guinness tours that um, he's put on Instagram over and over and over again. But then there are some really great, if you like whiskey, this is where I nurtured my love of whiskey. I learned all about it. There are some really fun, tiny distilleries in and around. There are some great horse farms. They inspired the last book in this series called Undone, which is all takes place on a horse farm. Let's see, what else have I done there? There's some great castle tours. I always try to do the stuff that's not on, like if you went into your travel agency and they gave you a coach tour of Ireland, those are all great, and I've done those. But I try to do the things that are not on those. Like the Cliffs of Moher are amazing, and the weirdest thing about them is that they are unfenced. So a lot of like a lot of my pictures that I show you are me sitting on the edge of the Cliffs of Moher. There are no fences there. It's very wild and crazy. But then there are cliffs on the Ring of Kerry that are even more spectacular and rugged. Like there are no humans there. And if you are inspired by the beauty of Ireland, there are some really great off the beaten paths all along the Wild Atlantic Way. And as you go from top to bottom or bottom to top, there are really great directional signs to kind of indicate stop here, there's a great view, or tides out, you can walk right out into the ocean, or some really fun things. And then you can spend the night in a pub listening to um, all the things you think about Irish pubs are true. Just go, you can find them with like crazy Irish music, drink some great beer. People are super friendly. Yeah, I had a really good time there, obviously. And yes, I did write. I wrote a bit of Worlds Apart there, and I wrote Hat, almost all of Hat in Ireland.
So what is our time is up, as you can see. I hope you don't mind staying over just a tad longer.
All good, all good.
What is coming up next for you?
So next I have that series that I was telling you about that will be starting next year. I haven't titled the series, but it's five friends who are in their 40 to 50-year age bracket, so completely different age group. And It's kind of where I'm at in my life. And there's a widow, a divorcee, a woman tied to her career, And then I haven't figured out what the other two female stories are, but um, it's stories for women um, um, who are kind of finding love at the second, not at the midpoint. I'd hate to think that's the midpoint, but maybe it is. But in an older kind of format, but that's still just as hot, just as exciting, just as fun.
Okay, I want to ask you some questions. This is our speed round.
Okay.
So you just answer them quickly.
Okay.
What are you currently reading?
Oh, I told you, Virgin River.
What's your go-to song in the shower?
Oh, Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, Wham.
I love that. Do you have any hidden or not so hidden talents?
Well, I am a musician, so I can play the piano, the guitar, the flute, violin, clarinet. I think that's it. And I can sing. Yeah.
What's the weirdest thing in your handbag?
Oh my God. I don't know what to tell you. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a big, dark. Um, my passport is in there because I never know when I'm going to hop on the plane and go somewhere. My passport there. I don't know. It's a mom bag. Like there's just a lot of.
Let's see. Do you have a favorite snack while writing?
Yeah. I love chips. Yep, plain chips.
For me, it's M&M, the chocolate kind, not the peanut kind,
Yes, agreed.
and jelly beans.
Really gross.
Uh, what what would be the title of a song about Holly Mortimer?
Oh God, she did not just say that.
Okay. Last picture on your phone. What did you take?
Oh, well, let's see.
You don't have to show us.
Oh, I know. Oh no, that wasn't what it was. I thought it was something else. Let's see. Oh yeah, it was when I have an 11-year-old and a 15-year-old, and it's just a series of her taking pictures of herself. So that's usually what's on there.
Uh-huh. Do you like to read ebooks or paperback?
Ebooks.
Paperback. Ebooks.
Ebooks. Yeah.
What do you have anything motivational on your desk?
On my desk.
For example, this is what I look at every day. I look at this.
Ooh, I love it.
So it's got a little typewriter on the back.
I love it. I don't have anything motivational on my desk, but remember, I don't actually write on my desk.
That's right.
I do love, like, I have this little notebook beside me, and I have lots of post-it notes. And they're always marketing things, but the one post-it note I always have stuck to my computer is this activity getting me farther? So it just stops me from sinking into the Facebook, rabbit hole or whatever. Like, is what you're doing right now actually going to get that book written or get that piece of work done? Nothing really mind-breaking motivational. I did see something that was by Michael Jordan, and now I can't remember. I took a picture of it, and I wanted to make it my screensaver, but I don't do good at. I don't do. I'm not a visual person, so I don't do very good at that stuff. Here I've taken a long time for that.
I'm very visual. I like to see it. Okay, last question.
Okay.
What would readers be most surprised to know about you?
I don't know. No, I don't know. People are often surprised that I write romance, like, but that wouldn't be what the readers would be surprised at because I don't know. I'm a single mom, two teenage kids. Um, I don't know. I don't have anything that's surprising, but I'm an open book.
You have a lot of balls. What is it? Balls in the air. Balls in, what is it? You have a lot. You have your hand in a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm. The biggest question I get asked the most by anybody, whether it's reader, client, person I meet on the street, is um, how do you do all those? How do you do all those things at the same time?
I myself wonder
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I have a problem. I'm a workaholic, so I love to work.
Well, Holly, thank you so much for being
You're welcome. I've been looking forward to this forever.
here. See, I
Yeah,
proved to you that I'm doing live now. So now you know.
yeah, I'm so proud of you. I love it. I love that you can use this platform. Every time I've tried Be Live, it blows up in my face. So
Oh
kudos
no,
to you. I told you I'm going to need to get you to teach me one day. One day we shall meet in person and you will show me.
I would love to.
Okay.
Everybody, let's give Holly claps or hearts or something. Comment with that. Thank Holly for being here with us.
Yes.
Um,
You
and
feel your readers are so kind, and they've all sent me lots of great, not all of them, but I've got a lot of emails and keep them coming. I love to chat, and I will write you back. And
they are an awesome group. I don't know how I got this lucky to have such a great group behind me.
well, like attracts like. You put that out there, you get it back.
I
Yep.
heart them all. They know that, I hope. Okay. I'll
Okay.
tell you good night, Holly. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Good night,
Talk to you
everybody.
later.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay, everybody. Be sure to comment with heart or thanks or something for Holly. I'm sure she'll come back through and read all the comments later. So, one last call. If you've not commented with a number between 1 and 50, go ahead and do so. But remember to put your name in the comments, or I'm not going to know who you are. So, thank you for the hearts, Melissa. Trying to see. I don't think anyone is. Well, I have a number here, but I don't know who it is. I don't know who did 15. Marisol did 17. That's the only two that we have. So, um, let's see. I will leave this open until. Well, let's just see if we get any more comments with numbers. Okay, Jerry just commented with 37. Somebody did 42, but I don't know who you are. 42. Melissa, 42. Debbie, 21. Anybody else out there? Somebody said hi, but I don't know who you are. Hi back. Uh, it's Pat's number. I don't know what that means. Debbie, 21. Okay, I can't believe this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what my number is. And I really think that this person and I are on the same wavelength because it seems like we do this quite often. She comes up with the correct number or really, really close to the number. So if there's anybody out there that wants to get in on a signed book, go ahead and comment name and a number between 1 and 50. I'll give you like 10 more seconds and then I will show you Pat is 15. Okay, got you, Pat. So we'll give it just a couple more seconds because there's a delay from the time that I say something to the time that you get it. Oh, I know what I can do while we're waiting. I can tell you about our next month's book. And I am so excited, guys, that we have this author going to be visiting us. For some reason, I cannot get her up there, but it is going to be Miss Ruth Cardello is going to be our December visiting author, and her book is Always Mine. That is her the book that we will be discussing next month. And I have already made that available for everyone on our webpage. So if you go to lizscottbooks.com and then go to the readers group, I've already got the links up there for you. It's a free download as well. So thank you, Ruth, for doing that for us as well. So go grab Ruth's book, Always Mine. And I was glad that she chose that book. So I will go ahead and tell you the number that is the winner is the person that is closest to my number. See that? The number is 42. So guess who that is? That would be Melissa, guest number 42. So congratulations, Melissa. I'll message you in just a few minutes with information on how I send your book to you. And if there's no other questions or comments for tonight, I'll go ahead and close out. I'll give you just a couple seconds to see if anyone has any final questions. Anything going on with what's going on with me, or I have been, yeah, Melissa's laughing about that. I have been having a lot of issues with Facebook lately. I don't know what I'm doing to upset them so, but for the past couple of days, they have on and off blocked me from posting. So today I was afraid to post anything, so I just I didn't post anything until tonight because I didn't want them to take it away from me again. So hopefully now maybe I can start posting again. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to sign off for tonight. Be sure you grab Ruth's book from our webpage. Our webpage, lizscottbooks.com, if I can talk. I think I've talked enough for tonight now. So thanks everybody for coming. I do appreciate you supporting me and my writing. You don't know how much you guys mean to me. And when I have such a great group behind me, it's really and truly a blessing. Every one of you are. So we'll see you next month. Thanks. Bye-bye.